If you've ever filmed a talking head video and wonder why your footage doesn't look as cinematic as what you see online, the secret is usually in the color. In this video, I'll show you how to color grade your smartphone videos to make them look clean and even more cinematic, just like the video you're watching right now, and all with free tools. This video will be divided into two parts: color correction and color grading. And if you haven't seen my previous video on how to film cinematic talking head videos with just your smartphone, I'll link it up in the card here and in the description below. Because filming is just 50% of the job, the other 50% is color grading. And here is a quick tip: before you start filming your videos, always get a white paper like this one, place it in front of your face in the direction of the lights that you'll be using to film, and film for a few seconds. I will explain why in a moment. Let's dive into the color grade. There are so many free softwares out there that you can use. There is CapCut, there is VN Editor, there is InShot. Even though some of them still have paid subscriptions to them, for the most part, most of the free tools would work for what we are trying to do. For the purpose of this tutorial, we're going to be using CapCut. Let's fire up CapCut, and next thing is to import our footage. I'm going to try as much as possible to explain some of the terms while I'm editing, and I'm just going to make it very, very beginner friendly. The same workflow can be applied to other editing softwares that you might be using. So you click on new project, and then you import your footage. You can set it to HD if you have a device that has a good processing power, but if not, just import without the HD selected and it won't affect the quality of the video when you export. I'm just going to use HD because I'm using my tab. So by now, you should have done your cutting, selecting what part of the video you want. You select the clip, you click on adjust. The first step is color correction, and color correction is basically correcting for your exposure and your white balance to make the image look as neutral as possible. For this, the image is dark, so I'll start with the brightness. I'll bring up the brightness to about 10. Next thing I would do is I would go to highlight. The highlight is the bright part of the footage, and that's like my forehead. This is what the highlights will look like when you increase it. So that's why I'm bringing it down to bring back a little bit of details on my face. Next, bring up the shadow so that I'll be able to see the detail in the shelf. So I will bring this up to about 20. For white, I'm going to bring back white just a little to brighten the whole image even more. Think about 5 is okay. And then for blacks, I'm still going to raise the blacks. And the reason I'm doing that is because it gives me this filmic, cinematic, faded look that you see in Hollywood movies. Think about 10. I know now you're wondering, why is the image looking so flat? That's the whole idea. We're actually setting a base for applying our color grade. Then we can now dial it back later. Because it's looking too flat, I can just add contrast. Bring it up to about, let's see, it's about 20. We've gone from this to this. We're making progress, and I like that we can see the details in some of the dark parts of the image. So we're done with this. For exposure, we'll leave it like this. I'll come back to it later when we've made other adjustments. Remember I said when you're filming, place a white paper over your face. I'll show you why we did that. So I'm just going to scroll this to the point where the white paper is up on my face. This is going to be like a reference for us to set our white balance. So I'll make sure this paper looks white or as close to how I saw it the day I was filming. And for this, we'll go to temperature. When you slide the temperature to the left, it makes your image look blue. And when you slide the temperature to the right, it makes your image look yellowish orange. If your image looks too warm, you introduce a little bit of blue to it to balance the warmth. And if it's too blue, you introduce a little bit of warmth to balance the blue. So for this image looks warm already from the start. This white has a little bit of yellowish tint over it. I'm going to move it towards the blue side to balance it. So I'll just eyeball it until I think the white looks white. So I think around -10. This is before, this is after. It looks more neutral to me. I'll go back to my brightness and then I'll bring it down because I think it's too bright. I think I'm going to bring back the brightness to 0. Let's go to my face and see. This looks more neutral. Let's see. This is before. It looks too warm, and this is after. Right? It's come to a neutral base. So next thing I can do is I can either add a little bit of saturation to bring back the color. So let's say about 10. Oh, I think it's too saturated. Let's bring it down to like 6. So this is before, this is after. Even with just color correction, we are good to go. I can easily post this and be happy with it, but now we'll move into color grading. What I will usually do is I would color grade with the graph and other tools, but this is going to be too advanced for this tutorial, so I'll just keep it very simple and we'll use filters instead. So just click on filters. For you to get the most out of the filters, you have to set your exposure and color correct the image. So now I'm just going to scroll through the presets we have here and see what they look like. Most times I would just go to live and then I experiment with some of the filters. So this is what it looks like, and you can increase or decrease the intensity of the filter you apply here. So this looks nice. I actually like it, but this is not the vibe I'm going for. I'm going for something that will have a little bit of blue in the background. There's something called orange and teal. Classic orange and teal is popular in movies, so that's the vibe I'm going for. So I'll just keep trying this preset. Nah, this has this softness to it. I'm not a fan of it. So that's basically the whole idea. You just keep trying until you find which one works better for you. So like this blue guy, kind of works, but not what I'm going for. Finally, I think I've stumbled on a preset that I really like. It's called Witchy Wood. I really like how the blues in the background are popping with the orange of my skin, right? I can bring down the intensity because it looks too saturated for my taste. This is what it looks like with 50%. This is before, this is after. Before, after. I really like this filter. I'm going to stick with this. Let's leave it at 50 for now, and then let's go back to our adjustment, and then I'll go to HSL. So HSL adjusts individual colors: the red, orange, yellow, green, teal, blue, purple, and magenta. So what I'm going to do is I'll go to my red. Hue is the color you are adjusting. Saturation is how intense the color is, and then the lightness is how bright that particular color is. And so I'm going to bring down the red to about 10, and then probably move it in the direction of the orange just a bit. Let's say 5, and then bring down the exposure. For the orange, this is where most skin tones lie, so I'm just going to bring down the saturation until my skin looks rich but not too saturated. So I think around 8. I think I'll bring down the exposure just a bit. So let's see, 10. Yellow, let's see what I can do with yellow. I think I'll move yellow towards orange a bit. 10, and then bring down the saturation just a bit. And then the luminance, bring it down a bit, -10. For green, let's see, what do I do with green? There are not so much green in this image except on my shirt. I think I'll just move the green towards this side, to the left a bit. Bring down saturation a bit. This is before, after, before, after. For the teal, I'm going to move it towards the blue a bit. Let's see, 5, then bring down the saturation just a bit. Let's do 10, and then luminance, bring down the luminance too. Then for blue, so you can see the blue is affecting the top of the shelf. When I move it, you can see what it's doing. I'm just going to move this towards the teal, and then I'll bring down saturation again, bring down luminance a bit. So then for purple, I think I'll just move it towards the blue. That's what I'm going to do with it. For pink, I may have to, let's see. Okay, so the pink is on my shirt. So I think I'll just warm it up a bit, move it towards red a bit. Increase the saturation a bit. Luminance, let me darken it just a bit. So generally, this is where we are. I like how the video turned out. Since I still have free trial activated, I'm going to export 4K at 30 frames per second, and I'm going to leave the codec at recommended. Yeah, so our video is exporting. I'm going to show the before and after of the entire video that we've color corrected and color graded. Yeah. Color grading doesn't have to be very complex or difficult. It's really about just bringing out the best in your footage. And remember, color grading isn't meant to fix the bad footage. It's meant to enhance an already good footage. So always start with a well-shot video. That means good lighting and good exposure. And then use color grading to add that cinematic touch. If you got any value from this video, please like, subscribe, And don't forget to check out the previous video on how to film cinematic talking head videos with your smartphone. See you in the next video.